Hello faithful viewers, welcome back to another review. This time we are looking at the Transformers Dark of the Moon Deluxe Class Jolt. This figure is peculiar because he's not exactly a one-to-one representation of what Jolt looked like in the brief appearance he had in Revenge of the Fallen. Yes, Jolt, if you didn't realise he actually existed, he did. He was that blue guy in the background, and his most notable claim to fame was transplanting those afterburners from Jetfire onto Optimus Prime. Other than that, who knows who he is? Apparently he was meant to be voiced by Anthony Anderson. That was a rumour at the time, but I remember. Yeah, he had no lines whatsoever, and he promptly disappeared, never to be seen again after Revenge of the Fallen. If you read the tie-in comics of Dark of the Moon, then Shockwave killed him. But canonicity of those is completely up for debate. So this is Jolt. He turns into a light blue and black Chevrolet Volt. His inclusion in the film was just an excuse to have Chevrolet show off an electric car. It's nice, actually. I think it is a very nice looking car. Odd colour scheme, of course, because this is not accurate to how he was. He was a darker blue in the film, and the Dark of the Moon, they went for this really strange light blue colour scheme. I don't particularly know why, whether it was just to differentiate him from the Revenge of the Fallen Deluxe Class that had the more accurate dark blue. I don't know. Maybe budget cuts, because by the time of Dark of the Moon, I think the toy budget was starting to go down a bit. So it's light blue, and you can see these electric neon blue decals along the sides and along the edges of the windscreen here. Nice. You've got good red lights on the back, some little red strips there. I don't know if it's... Oh, it is a branded car. You've got the Chevy logo from there, so at least we've got the licensing for it. Yeah, it's a good enough representation of the vehicle. You've got transparent windows, so that would infer that the entire roof is this clear plastic, and yeah, it's not the best really, is it? Clear plastic. You've got some nice texture going along the hood of the car and the roof here. Very nice detailing indeed, makes it pop, gives this car some character. It rolls very nicely actually. And to its credit, on the underside in terms of robot kibble, you can see the arms are there, but everything else is relatively well hidden. But if you know the character and you know it's more than arms, legs, head, so kind of evident what becomes what, but it is tucked away quite nicely. You can see on the top of the roof here, we have a couple of MechTech ports. Now, one little thing about the way that this figure hasn't aged well is that the spring in this MechTech port in particular has actually broken. So if I was to plug his rifle in there, that wouldn't actually pop back up, and I need to pop it up from the underside, and this one still works well. MechTech, if you didn't know, it's primarily in the gimmickry here. So we've got this gun. If you've watched Ruby, then you might be aware of the concept of weapons turning into weapons. Same thing with MechTech. So you've got this blaster here, it's quite nice, and by pushing this bit back, it turns into a big mega cannon that looks sort of similar to Bumblebee's hand cannon in the first films. This is actually one of my favourite MechTech weapons, but unfortunately, because it's a deluxe one, it doesn't lock into place in its alternate mode. Voyager class ones did, deluxes didn't. It's a bit of a shame, but I do like this quite a lot, and MechTech weapons are addictive for doing that to them. So yeah, pretty cool. Black, blue, you know, all good like this. And of course, as you saw at the beginning of the video, you can plug that in there like that. Boom, nice. And to demonstrate, see, it's filled itself again, just like that. That one doesn't, as I've explained. You can't achieve a Stealth Force look, unfortunately, with this, but never mind. Jolt was never in the film, so why would he have a Stealth Force looking mode? He wouldn't. So, vehicle mode overall is good. Let's get on to transformation. This vehicle to robot mode is simple enough. Getting him back into vehicle mode is a little bit tricky, and there's some things to do with the headlights here that I don't like, which just knocks this figure down a level or two from how good he could be. So to begin with, we want to be coming to the underside here and pulling out the arms like so, and then just wrapping them round the outside of the back tyres like that. I'm going to turn him over and I'm going to position the arms down like so. And then they tear off. These mushroom pegs are pretty flimsy, to be honest. So have it like that. And then gradually begin just ripping him apart, basically. So tear the sides off like that. Wiggle the roof parts to the side. And just get them going up like that. Then find a way to push that back in like that and get the back bumper bits there and just rotate them and get them into a diagonal pattern like that. You can see that reveals a tab there, which we will come to in a little while. Then we want to be... It is a little bit confusing, just order of operations. You want to be taking this, and if we get these flared out enough, we can collapse the sides of the roofs in, just like that, and then feed all of this through. And then with that port that we've exposed, tab his kind of abdomen area into that. Push the sides of the car in like this, now that I've got this back bit. And somehow his head wants to be getting freed and to be able to flip around, but I can't remember exactly how one does that. It is genuinely confusing. Okay, there we go, we got it. It is genuinely a bit confusing. So get that, plug it all back in somehow. There we go, like that. Keep that flared out and just... once upon a time, the spring in this has also deteriorated and gone. There was a time where it wouldn't stay flat like that, so you'd have to use the windscreen there to prop it up into place. Right, continuing on to the legs. Just pull them out and they will extend themselves. They've been wrapped back on double hinges basically there. I'm just disconnected him at the waist, never mind. Right, split the legs. This is, again, a bit confusing with how all this is formed. So, take this part here, this will end up being his heel. Flip it like that. Then we can see this little bit here is hooked over a piece of clear plastic that goes all the way through that. So we want to be bringing it back over, and I don't know if you saw that, but... I'll try and show it on the other leg as well. And then push the hood in like that. And then just keep bringing it forward until you meet resistance and you can't push it in anymore. And then finally, take this tyre and wrap it into the inside upper foot. Like that. So on this leg, we want to be doing the same thing. And hopefully I can demonstrate it a little bit better. So I'm going to bring the heel down like that. And then... get this bit back over this clear bit here. Somehow you might just need to push on this, yeah, to help bring it over. Like that. It's harder to get it back into vehicle mode. That is actually Jolt's transformation done. So let's raise the camera a little bit to get our perspective better. And yeah, it's fairly accurate, I want to say, to how he looks in Revenge of the Fallen. It's not perfectly accurate. Of course, his head sculpt is not accurate to how it was. It's got like this kind of beaver gopher kind of thing going, which he had in concept art, and thus that kind of made its way over to the figure. So his head is accurate to the Revenge of the Fallen figure. The Studio Series Jolt is much more screen accurate. But this, arguably the profile of the Dark of the Moon figure here is more accurate than the original Revenge of the Fallen figure. So that's one benefit, I suppose. It's just colour scheme wise, it's not. But profile wise, you know, it's interesting. I will give it that. He is oddly proportioned. He's got this chicken leg thing going on, which, you know, the film characters always did. But yeah, it's unique. Let's say it's unique. So again, the head sculpt is accurate to the concept art. It's, again, unique is a good way of putting it. Very interesting. Painted blue eyes. He does have a clear bit on the back of his head, which would suggest light piping, but we're painted over his eyes, so there is no light piping for this guy. Coming down, you can see the back tyres are now on his shoulders. I like the way that all of this is collapsed and folded onto the back window of the car. Like, that's the back fuselage of the car, and it's all piled on top. I like that, actually. Interesting chest there, kind of an angry face motif going on. He has these crooked arms, just strange, like Doc Ock kind of hands. You've got clear windows on the upper leg, and then he's kind of got like a G1 wheeljack kind of thing going on, with the hood of the car being his feet. In terms of play features, Jolt does on his arms have these little bits. If you just get your nails in and just bring them out, these are clip-on ports for wee little guns. I think at the time they were experimenting, what was the name of it, like the C-clip system? But at the time, Transformers were coming with guns with little clips, and well, Jolt has some compatibility with that, so that's a thing that you could do. I think the Cyberverse figures had a few of them, but I can't be bothered to dig any of them out. And by Cyberverse, I mean the Dark of the Moon Cyberverse. I don't mean the more modern day Cyberverse. With his MechTech gun, you can put it on here at the back of his hand like that, which is peculiar, to be honest, because it's not exactly like he's actually holding it. And then for weapon storage in robot mode, he has this handy dandy port on his back, so you can just plug it in like that, and that's quite nice just to have that weapon storage. In terms of articulation, Jolt's head can rotate 360 degrees, but that is it. It doesn't exactly clip into place, which is a bit of a bummer, so you can fake some looking up articulation there, but it's not proper. And then you've got ball joints on the shoulders, so 360 like that. You can move them out like that as well. And then you've got this mushroom peg system going on here, so you've got a rotation at the bicep like that, and then you've got another rotation of 360 just below it like that, so you can pull off some really wacky poses with his arms. Nothing at the waist because his lower torso plugs into the upper chest like that. You have a very good forward kick. In terms of a back kick, it's realistic. In terms of a spread, a beautiful spread. In terms of the knees, you have, again, like all of these double hinges and everything. So you've got bend there, you've got bend there, and then coming to the lower foot, you haven't really got anything. You've got no pivots because it all just locks into place. You do have rotation that far and rotation that far, but it's not 360 because it all starts to bump in to the front windows that are on his upper legs. Overall articulation is reasonably fine, actually. You have the potential to be able to pull off a load of interesting poses with Jolt. For a size comparison, here is Jolt's next to Studio Series Dino from Dark of the Moon. Both of them kind of forgotten about characters in the lineage of the live action films. Here he is with the Studio Series knockoff Optimus Prime. Here he is with Dark of the Moon Shockwave. I got both of these guys at the exact same time, so they are both nostalgic for me. And of course, here he is with Mysterio. Alright then folks, we're going to look at the reverse transformation for Jolt now. Pardon this pose, it's I don't know what it is. It's just something random I've tried with him. So, getting him into car mode can be a little bit tricky, and it's all to do with these leg bits. So first of all, let's get off his gun and put that aside. Then I'm going to rotate his head back, make sure that we're in focus as we do it, because it wouldn't be a film to quick to review if we weren't in focus. So let's get the head back, and let's begin by just rotating the arms just up like that. We're going to work on the upper body first and finish off with the legs. Just order of play like that is best. So unclip the lower torso and swing it back round. Then let's remember which way we rotate that. So it's going to be that way. Straighten these wings and the sides of the car like that, and that should allow us to bring this bit back forward. And just plug these snugly in like that. Then come to the roof here, make sure all of this is folded out and plug in, and you can see that the spring on that MedTech port has failed already. Right, so crunch time. Get the window pieces over the blue tabs like that and just try and keep them there as you slide this together. We may need to undo this a little bit later. We shall see. Right. I always get confused with this. I realised I didn't rotate that tyre around the whole time. Oh, that's poor from me. That was meant to be like that in robot mode. So begin by rotating these tyres out like that. And then, I don't know, it's really hard to articulate what you do here because it's not easy. Part of the problem is these headlights. They are going to get caught on these hood pieces and they're just going to bugger up the entire transformation. So at this stage, they're behaving. Try your damnedest to get them to stay like this, parallel to these hood pieces. Just try everything. They're not locking anything just yet, so we're doing good so far. Try and get this straight. I just biffed that back into place. Try and get this straight. Locking these heels back up is going to discombobulate a lot of what's going on here. So you can see already I'm pushing this up and that is causing this to go back down, and we don't want that. So just like that. You see, I want to lock it up all the way, but logic is telling me not to. Plug that back in. In theory, you could connect the legs and then rotate all of this back into place. I'm going to do it individually just for the sake of transparency. So hinge all of this back on itself, like you're collapsing it back in. Yeah, and something's telling me that I've not. Okay, you can see here I've not quite got this. You need to hook that back over, and then this is discombobulated all of this again. So how? Even I'm getting confused. I did it earlier, but not without great difficulty. And now this has got caught on the underside of that. How do you do it, Jolt? This whole leg system is bizarre. Right, we've got it free somehow. Don't ask me how I did that. I don't even know how I did that. Try and hook that over and then hinge it all in. Okay, we're looking good with that, except we're not, because that's not correct. Again, it's confusing, and I'm sorry if you're not keeping track, but it's very hard to demonstrate what you're doing here. Other reviewers will make this look easier than I am. It's just I have never found a good way to do this. I'm hooking that over like that. Okay, that's all looking fine. And then double hinge it all into place. Oh, this is going well. It's going well. There we go. And then, God, my hands are so sweaty from doing this. Something's not right here. It's not right here. Try and keep this all as flat as you can. Plug that in. We're trying to keep the windows as flat as we can, because you can see it's all segmented. We've achieved it somehow. I don't know how we've achieved this, but we've done it. And then just finish off by getting the arms all in like that, and that's just popped off again. These, I love it when bikes go by my window. Oh, which way do you go? Oh, oh, well, there goes my light. Okay, let's try this again. Oh dear. Right. It actually helps if you keep his arms straight throughout the entire transformation. FYI. God, I have not put this back in properly, have I? There we go, right. Keep it up like that. Rotate it in like that. And then somehow, God knows how, you want to be hinging that in like that. There we go. Getting him back into car mode is undeniably tricky. The end result is nice, but it's tricky. Overall thoughts on Dark of the Moon Jolt then. I do think it's actually a very decent figure. I wouldn't say it's brilliant because he is quite kibbly. You can see all of his door crap on him there. It makes him a little bit cumbersome. His legs and his posture are also very strange. He's basically standing on his tippy toes. So stability can be impacted a little bit if you don't get him perfect. You can see you have to kind of spread his legs out as well to kind of just to get him to stand. We've not had any difficulties in his reviews so far of standing him up, but he wibble wobbles a little bit. So just with caution, be aware of that. His arms are prone to popping off quite a lot, especially during transformation, so be aware of that. The mushroom peg design is not the greatest idea in the world. His roof is also subject to having its spring breaking, so he's a little bit brittle as well. There are just little nitpicks, and the reverse transformation is confusing, especially with regards to the legs. So, do I recommend him? I do, but he's not without his caveats. I've not experienced either the other Jolts in person, so I can't really truly compare him to the Revenge of the Fallen one or the Studio Series one. I suppose in many regards they are superior, but this guy is an underrated member of the Dark of the Moon toy line, and I do say that with my hand on my heart. He is underrated. He is special to me because he is from the year of 2011, and that was a very good year for me for buying Transformers. I got Jolt, Topspin, Shockwave, Prime First Edition RC, Armada Cyclonus. He's within the pantheon of figures from a really good year for me, so I do have a lot of nostalgic value for this guy. He's not perfect. He is not perfect, but he has a decent amount of fun about him, and he is solid enough. So I do recommend him, but if you choose to seek out an alternative Jolt, then that's your discretion. You do you. Ultimately, I like him for what he is. He's not my favourite figure in the world, and he's not anywhere near the higher spectrum of my collection, but there is something a little bit charming about him, I cannot deny. So thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.